Brian Williams was always two-faced, deux Parzufen. If you look at him from his right side, he is the handsome TV celebrity that he is, movie star looks. If you look at him from his left angle, he looks like a movie star, but the movie star is Rin Tin Tin. He has two faces. You very seldom see him from the left side. Because he's a TV personality, they show him from the right side, and rightly so. I never liked his voice either. If you listen to his shows, it was too calm, too smooth, too goody-goody. He was always hiding something else. However, in this commentary, I want to show you how Brian Williams is the perfect spokesperson for our times. How truth and fiction became one. Like Wallace Stevens says, fiction is the greatest truth. Let's not forget that Brian Williams is a successful man, earning $10 million a year. He must be doing something right. He must be worth that to a company that pays him that. The real fault lies not in Brian Williams here, in this truth-telling, but in the people who run the channel. They knew he was lying all the time. But because they make $200 million from the show, they let it ride, so to speak. In the higher echelons, truth is stretched by fiction. We call that virtual reality. We call that television shows. We call that movies. All the books we read is fiction and mysteries. Everything is made up. Everything is embellished for the point of view of the person who's doing the embellishing. It's like taking materials and making them into a salad. The salad has very little to do with the individual materials. Every channel has its own political slant. Aren't they all telling the truth? Let's not forget that media people today, they're only entertainers. I'm old enough to think that tennis players used to go out there and want to play tennis. Quite frankly, that's the amateur days. Even Andre Agassi thought of himself as an entertainer. He was entertaining the 20,000 people in the stands and the millions of people watching on television. There wasn't a contest. There wasn't a war going on. It was only a show. Andre Agassi, coming from Las Vegas, was the perfect example of this. We no longer have just reality. We have virtual reality. Get used to it. Augmented reality. Brian Williams was in Iraq when this happened. That's the reality. And then everything was augmented. His story was a virtual reality to embellish, a combination of fact from the right side and fiction from the left side. We all are this, but don't want to admit it. In our online personas, who hasn't stretched a little bit in their profiles? I know people who say they went to college in their profiles that the only college they went to was the College of Hard Knocks. That phrase dates me right there. Or, in the dating sites, wouldn't date me right there. Let's not think of our newscasters as anything different than Bill Maher and Jon Stewart. They're comedians. They're people getters. You know, people to watch. There is no more news. Hard news doesn't even come through the Twitter feed. So once we get over this hump, we'll realize that Brian Williams has done us a great favor. He's raised us to the level of Ketach in the coincidence of opposites, above the level of duality, of right and left, of right and wrong, of truth and fiction, of yes and no. Above both, these two come together, and it doesn't matter what you choose. At the source, the real and the unreal are one. Before the split, everything is together. It is only down here in limited type of reality is there a bifurcation, a split into two. Above in Ketach, in dream, in the whole of, above the head, in the crown, of the king, of the leader. And let's make sure we understand that Brian Williams is the #1 celebrity in the news business, getting the biggest audience every night. He has a level of consciousness that is above that of the others. For him, basically, he is the news. His internal reality coming through his mouth, what looks like a lie to the lesser people, is actually a truth for him. His reality is changed by his position in our society that we aren't at. We're still into the bifurcation of truth and fiction. Well, ask Ernest Hemingway, or ask any writer, any novelist, any poet, any biblical commentator. Truth is a jumping off point. And isn't that what Brian Williams has shown us? He deserves a thank you for opening up this level of reality to us, instead of a banishment. So this is in defense of Brian Williams, news commentator, who's shown us the two faces of truth. Truth as fact and fiction combined in one. Let's call it that. Truth as fact and fiction. That's higher than fact. I'm interested in truth, in MS. And the truth comprises the entire reality of the person. That reality of the person is not limited by the delineation of fact, but comes from the embellishment of a person's life.